The password that burned it all down. At 4:07 in the morning, while his 6-year-old daughter burned with fever in the next room, Malik Mitchell sat in the blue spill of 3 monitors and realized he couldn't remember the last time he'd chosen her over a server crash. The company alerts were screaming. His daughter was screaming louder. And in that moment, something inside him finally broke. Not slowly, not gently, but all at once, like a bone that had been carrying too much weight for too long. What happened next would bring the most powerful woman in Seattle to his front door, expose a multi-million-dollar betrayal, and force 2 people who had every reason to hate each other to fight side by side, for a company, for the truth, and for a little girl who just wanted her dad to stay home. If this story finds you tonight, hit that like button, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this story travels, and stay with me to the very end, because this one is going to hit different. The rain hadn't stopped in 3 days. It slapped the windows of a narrow 2-story house in Ballard, a working-class pocket of Seattle, where the old Scandinavian fishing families had long since been replaced by tech workers and overpriced coffee shops. But this house hadn't been updated in decades. The porch sagged on the left side. The gutters leaked in uneven rhythms. The front yard was more mud than grass, and the mailbox had been dented by a delivery truck 6 months ago and never fixed. Inside wasn't much better. Malik Mitchell worked at a desk that used to be a dining table, surrounded by the wreckage of a life lived entirely in crisis mode. 3 monitors cast a cold glow over towers of unopened mail, a half-eaten sleeve of crackers, and 2 coffee mugs growing things that probably qualified as science experiments. His phone had been vibrating for the past 40 minutes. Slack, email alerts, frantic texts from people whose names he could barely keep straight anymore. He was 34 years old and looked 45. Not because of genetics, because 4 years of single parenthood stacked on 80-hour work weeks did that to a man who'd once been called one of the sharpest systems architects on the West Coast. A black single dad in his 30s, alone in a house that always felt like it was one emergency away from falling apart, Malik carried exhaustion in his posture like a second spine. His hair, tight curls that should have been trimmed weeks ago, had started to mat at the edges from too many nights with no shower and too many mornings with no time. His dark brown eyes, once clear and quick, now lived under permanent bruising from chronic sleep deprivation. His deep brown hands that could navigate 500,000 lines of code with surgical precision, shook slightly as he reached for the nearest mug, found it empty, and set it down with a dull thud. The Slack channel was melting down. DevOps critical authentication. Bridge failed at 3:22 Pacific Standard Time. Cascade failure across all European nodes. Client-facing portals returning 503 errors. Malik, where are you? DevOps critical failover didn't catch backup clusters throwing the same error. This is the encryption layer. Nobody else has the architecture map for this. Then the one that landed like a guillotine. Malik DevOps critical board meeting in 14 hours. Merger due diligence depends on uptime proof. If this isn't resolved by morning, we are looking at a $2.3 billion problem. Someone get Malik on the phone. He read every message. He understood every word. He knew exactly what was happening. The authentication bridge he'd built 2 years ago was failing because someone had pushed a patch without routing it through his review protocol. He could practically see the corrupted config file in his head. He knew which backup key would restore the European nodes. He could probably fix the entire thing in 45 minutes if he opened a terminal and started typing. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. And then, from the bedroom down the hall, came a sound that cut through every alert, every line of code, every vibrating notification. Daddy! Small, thin, the voice a child uses when they've been calling for a long time and nobody has come. Malik closed his eyes. Daddy, I'm hot. He shoved back from the desk so hard the chair clipped the wall behind him. The hallway was dark. He'd stopped replacing bulbs months ago, so he moved by memory, socked feet silent on scarred hardwood. Nia's room was at the end. The door was half open. A crescent moon nightlight threw dim amber across walls covered in crayon drawings and torn coloring book pages taped up crooked. Nia was sitting up in bed, her hair, soft coils flattened to her forehead, plastered down with sweat. She clutched her favorite stuffed rabbit, a threadbare thing named Professor Bun that had survived so many wash cycles his left ear was barely attached. Her cheeks were flushed a furious red, and when Malik knelt and pressed the back of his hand to her forehead, the heat radiating off her skin shot pure fear straight through his chest. "Hey, baby girl," he whispered, forcing his voice steady while his mind started running calculations he didn't want to run. "How long have you been awake?" "A long time," Nia said. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused. "I called you, but you didn't come." The words hit like a fist to the sternum. "I'm here now," he said. "I'm right here." He found the thermometer in the bathroom, buried under towels he'd meant to fold for a week, and brought it back. Nia opened her mouth obediently, like this was already a routine she'd learned too well. The thermometer beeped. The display read 103.8. Malik's exhausted brain registered it as 13.8 for a half second, like his mind couldn't accept the number, then corrected with a sick lurch. 103.8, he breathed. "Okay," he said, mostly to himself. "Okay, we're going to get you medicine and we're going to cool you down." His phone buzzed in his back pocket. Then again, like it was panicking. He didn't reach for it. He went to the kitchen, filled a glass with water, found the children's Tylenol in the cabinet above the refrigerator, right where it always was, because some part of him had always known this moment would come, and carried both back to her bedside. Nia swallowed the medicine without complaint. That scared him more than the fever. Nia complained about everything. The texture of scrambled eggs, the way her socks bunched inside her shoes, the exact shade of purple in her favorite cartoon. A Nia who took medicine silently was a Nia who felt too bad to fight. He soaked a washcloth in cool water and laid it across her forehead. She flinched, then settled. "Stay," she whispered. "I'm staying." "You always say that." Malik opened his mouth to answer and found nothing there. No promise, no reassurance he trusted. Because she was right, he always said it. And too often he didn't mean it. Not really. Not when the next alert came, not when the next urgent message appeared. Not when the next fire demanded the one person in the company who apparently knew where every extinguisher was kept. His phone kept buzzing. Malik sat on the edge of Nia's bed and watched her eyelids flutter closed. The washcloth warmed fast against her fever. He swapped it for a fresh one. She murmured something he couldn't catch and rolled toward him, her small hand finding his sleeve and gripping with surprising strength, like she understood even half asleep that holding on was the only way to keep him in the room. He stayed like that for 20 minutes. His phone collected 47 new messages. When he was sure she was asleep, lightly, not deep, he eased his sleeve free, tucked Professor Bun under her arm, and walked back to the dining room. The monitors were still alive with cascading failure alerts. Slack had devolved into hysteria. His personal email showed 17 new messages, including 3 from Vivian Slate's executive assistant, each one more urgent than the last. Malik sat down. He stared at the screens for a long time. Then he opened a new email, addressed it to his direct supervisor, and CC'd Human Resources and started typing. "Marcus, effective immediately, I resign from my position as Principal Systems Architect at Slate Dynamics. I will not be serving a notice period. I will not be available for transition meetings, knowledge transfer sessions, or emergency consultations. The master encryption key for the authentication bridge is stored in a cold vault under the alias NIA First. I named it that 2 years ago because I told myself my daughter would always come first. I was lying to myself then. I'm not lying anymore. I've given this company 4 years of my life. I've missed birthdays, school plays, parent-teacher conferences, and more bedtime stories than I can count. I've eaten more meals at my desk than at my own kitchen table. I once spent Thanksgiving Day rebuilding a server cluster while my daughter ate reheated macaroni and cheese alone in front of the television. She was 4. I'm done. The systems I built are documented. The architecture maps are on the shared drive. If your team can't figure it out from there, that's not my failure. It's yours. for building a company that made one person's departure an existential crisis. Don't contact me, Malik Mitchell. He read it twice, changed nothing, hit send. The email vanished into the void with a soft whoosh, and Malik felt something he hadn't felt in years. A terrifying, weightless freedom, like stepping off a cliff and discovering he didn't care whether there was water at the bottom. He shut down all 3 monitors. The room went dark. For the first time in longer than he could remember, Malik walked to the couch, pulled a blanket over himself, and fell asleep before his head hit the cushion. The pounding started at 10:47 in the morning. Malik knew the exact time because the first thing he did when the knocking jolted him awake was look at the microwave clock, the only timepiece in the house that still worked. The stove clock had been blinking 12 o'clock for 3 months. His watch was dead on the bathroom counter. His phone, silenced and left face down on his desk, was probably somewhere around 9,000 notifications by now. The pounding came again, hard, impatient, like the person on the other side wasn't accustomed to waiting and had no intention of learning. Malik swung his legs off the couch and stood up too fast. The room tilted. Blood rushed from his head. He steadied himself and checked on Nia first. She was still asleep, still warm, but the Tylenol had dragged her fever down to 101.2, which was better. Then he walked to the front door, rubbing his eyes with the heels of his hands, and opened it without checking who was there. That mistake would replay in his mind for days. Vivian Slate stood on his porch. She was soaked. The rain, upgraded from steady to biblical sometime overnight, had done its best to destroy a very expensive charcoal trench coat and had partially succeeded. Her hair, usually sculpted into a precise, weaponized arrangement, was plastered to her face. Her heels, because of course she was wearing heels, even in a rainstorm, even on a Saturday morning, even on the sagging porch of a Ballard house, had sunk slightly into the soft wood of the top step. But that wasn't what Malik noticed first. He noticed her eyes. He'd seen Vivian Slate in company-wide emails, on screens, in the occasional all-hands where she descended from the 37th floor like a weather system. She was 41, the youngest female CEO of a major tech firm in the Pacific Northwest. She'd built her reputation on ruthless efficiency, strategic brilliance, and the widespread belief that she did not, in fact, possess human emotions. Employees called her the Ice Queen in break rooms and Slack threads. They said she fired her own CFO on Christmas Eve. They said she'd made a vice president cry in a board meeting and then asked if anyone else had questions. They said a lot of things, most of them attempts to explain how she made people feel small without appearing to try. But standing on Malik's porch at 10:47 on a Saturday morning, drenched and furious, Vivian Slate's eyes held something Malik had never seen in any photo or video call. Fear. You, she said, and that single word carried the weight of a corporate empire teetering. Malik blinked. What are you... Do you have any idea? Vivian cut in, voice low and controlled in a way that was worse than shouting. What you've done? I quit, Malik said flat. That's what I did. Now, if you'll excuse me, my daughter is... Your resignation triggered a cascading failure in the most critical system architecture of a company currently in the middle of a $4.2 billion merger. Her jaw was tight. A muscle in her cheek jumped. Your authentication bridge is down. The European nodes are offline. Our due diligence window closes in... She checked her phone. 26 hours. And if we can't demonstrate system integrity by then, Meridian Capital walks. Do you understand what that means? It means you should have had redundancy protocols, Malik said. The look she gave him could have frozen rain mid-fall. Let me in. No. Malik's hand tightened on the doorframe. My daughter has 101.2 fever. I haven't slept in 2 days. I quit your company 6 hours ago and I meant every word. Vivian took one step closer. The porch groaned. I didn't come here with a speech, she said. I came here with a lawsuit, a non-compete clause, intellectual property agreements, and a confidentiality provision you signed 4 years ago that specifically prohibits abandoning critical systems without a supervised transition period. My legal team can file by Monday morning. By Tuesday, your bank accounts will be frozen pending litigation. By Wednesday, you won't be able to afford the children's Tylenol you're using to keep your daughter's fever down. The air between them went still. Malik could feel the grain of the wood digging into his palm. Cold mist from the rain clung to his face. Every cell in his body screamed to slam the door and walk away. But he could also feel the weight of Nia's medical bills, the ear infection last month, the dental visit on a credit card, the pediatrician who gently suggested maybe her frequent illnesses were tied to stress, inconsistent sleep, and the kind of diet that happens when a single father is too exhausted to cook. He could feel the mortgage payment due in 9 days. He could feel reality settling around him like the rain, cold, relentless, inescapable. "What do you want?" he asked. "I want you to fix the authentication bridge," Vivian said, precise as a contract. "I want you to restore the European nodes. I want you to verify system integrity so that when Meridian's technical team runs their audit, every light is green and every number checks out. In exchange," she continued, "I authorize a severance package, 6 months of full salary, continuation of benefits, and a release from your non-compete. You fix this, you walk clean. That's the deal. And if I say no, then I ruin you," Vivian said without blinking. "Not because I want to, because I have 7,000 employees whose livelihoods depend on this merger closing. And I will not let one man's—" "My daughter was burning up," Malik snapped, voice cracking. "She was in the dark calling for me while I stared at your server alerts. She's 6 years old. She needed her father. And I wasn't there because I was too busy making sure your infrastructure didn't collapse for the 15th time this quarter. So don't you stand on my porch and call this a midlife crisis." Rain filled the silence. Vivian stared at him. Something quick and involuntary moved behind her eyes, like a door opening and closing in the same breath. She glanced just once at the muddy yard, the dented mailbox, the broken gutters. Then she looked back and her voice changed. Not soft, just quieter. "How high is the fever?" The question caught Malik off guard enough that he answered before he could stop himself. 101.2 now, down from 103.8 at 4 this morning. Vivian nodded once, tight, unreadable. "I need 90 minutes, she said. "After that, I'm gone. You'll never hear from me again." Malik looked at her, really looked past the coat, the armor, the control. Up close, he could see the dark circles under her makeup. He could see a faint tremor in the hand not holding her phone. He could see tension in her shoulders like a wire pulled too tight. She was scared, not annoyed, not stressed, afraid. 90 minutes, Malik said. "Then you leave." "Agreed." He stepped aside. Vivian walked into the house, and Malik watched her take in the chaos. Mail towers, unwashed mugs, the dead monitors, without flinching. "Though your house is—" she started. "Don't," Malik said. She pressed her lips together and didn't finish. Malik powered up the monitors one at a time, the familiar glow filling the room in stages. He pulled up a terminal, logged into the remote server through his VPN, and ran diagnostics. Vivian stood behind him, arms crossed, watching code scroll with an intensity that suggested she understood more than she wanted people to know. "You should sit down," Malik said without turning. "You're dripping on my floor. Your floor has seen worse." He almost smiled, almost. The diagnostics took 12 minutes. When they finished, Malik leaned back and stared at the results. The feeling that spread through his chest wasn't frustration. It was dread. "What is it?" Vivian asked, stepping closer. "The authentication bridge didn't just fail," Malik said slowly. "Someone changed the master encryption key." Vivian's posture shifted. "Changed it how?" "The key I set up 2 years ago, NIA first." Malik pulled up the log. It's been overwritten. Replaced during a patch pushed 3 days ago. He scrolled through the commit log, eyes moving faster than his fingers. The patch itself looks clean. Standard security update. The key change is buried inside it, hidden in a subroutine that wouldn't pop in a normal review. Vivian went very still, the stillness of a predator deciding whether to bite. "This was deliberate," she said. It gets worse." Malik opened another window, ran another command, and felt dread harden into something sharp. Whoever changed the key planted a logic bomb in the failover system. If anyone tries to brute force the new encryption, guesses passwords, runs a decryption algorithm, the bomb triggers a complete data purge. Everything. Client records, financial documents, source code, backup archives, gone. The room went quiet except for Rain. How long do we have? Vivian asked. It's passive, Malik said. It doesn't do anything unless someone tries to crack the encryption. So as long as nobody at the office is stupid enough. His phone, still face down on the desk, lit up with a call. Marcus Chen, Malik answered. Marcus, tell me nobody's touched the encryption. The silence on the other end said everything. Malik, we tried a key rotation about 20 minutes ago, Marcus said, voice strained with the sound of a man realizing he's standing over a hole. Standard procedure for failed authentication. Nobody knew about. Stop, Malik said. What happened? The system locked us out completely. Every access point, even the backup terminals. Malik shut his eyes. You triggered the first layer, he said. The bomb is armed now. If anyone touches anything else, anything, it detonates. Detonates? Marcus's voice rose. What do you mean detonates? I mean everything gets erased. A sound came from Marcus that wasn't quite a word. Get everyone away from the terminals, Malik said. Physically away. Unplug keyboards if you have to. Nobody touches anything until I figure this out. He ended the call and turned to Vivian. She stood with her arms at her sides now, fists clenched, face drained to something marble-like. This isn't a system failure, Malik said. This is sabotage. Someone inside your company built a trap, buried it in a routine patch, and set it to blow at the worst possible moment, right before the merger closes. Who? Vivian asked, the word sharp as glass. I don't know yet. But whoever it is has admin-level access and knows the architecture well enough to hide a logic bomb in a subroutine. This wasn't opportunistic. It's been weeks, maybe months. Vivian's eyes narrowed, calculations firing. Can you disarm it? She asked. Maybe, Malik said. If I can figure out the new encryption key without triggering it. But that's not brute force. That's detective work. I need to know who did it, because the key they used will be personal. That's how these traps work. Passwords are confessions. Vivian opened her mouth to respond. Then, the hallway made a sound that stopped them both. Small footsteps, unsteady, bare feet shuffling on hardwood. Nia appeared in the doorway wearing dinosaur pajamas, clutching Professor Bunn by his half-attached ear. Her face was flushed, her eyes too shiny, her body swaying like a small tree in wind. Daddy, she said thinly, my tummy hurts. Malik was moving before the last word landed. Hey, baby girl, you should be in bed. I don't want to be in bed. I want... She stopped. Her eyes went wide. Her body convulsed once. Then she vomited, sudden, violent, down the hallway, over her pajamas, over Professor Bunn. Her legs buckled. It happened faster than Malik could reach her. She was upright, and then she wasn't. And in the fraction of a second between standing and falling, a hand shot out from behind Malik and caught Nia under the arms with a speed that looked almost mechanical. Vivian Slate dropped to her knees in Malik's hallway and held his daughter against her chest, heedless of vomit soaking into her charcoal coat. Her face had changed completely. The corporate armor, the Ice Queen composure, the calculated control, gone in the time it took a 6-year-old to fall. I've got her, Vivian said, voice low and certain. She's okay, I've got her. Nia blinked up at her with feverish confusion. Who are you? My name is Vivian, Vivian said. I work with your daddy. You're pretty, Nia whispered. Something flickered across Vivian's face. Surprise, pain, something fast and buried. Thank you, sweetheart. Can you tell me where your tummy hurts? Vivian asked. Nia pointed vaguely at her middle. Everywhere. Malik was already kneeling, hand on Nia's forehead, heart slamming. The fever was climbing again. He could feel it, dry, hot, wrong. We're going to the hospital, Malik said. Now! He looked at Vivian. She looked back. In that look, something passed between them, something that had nothing to do with lawsuits or servers or mergers. Two adults in a hallway with a sick child between them, and the sudden understanding that nothing else mattered until she was safe. My car is outside, Vivian said. My driver can get us to Seattle Children's in 12 minutes. Us? Malik started. I'm not leaving a child with 103 fever so I can go back to an office, Vivian said. Give me some credit. Malik almost argued. Almost said something about boundaries or professionalism or the fact she'd threatened to freeze his bank accounts less than an hour ago. But Nia was burning in Vivian's arms, and Vivian's eyes weren't calculating leverage anymore. They were human. "Let me get her coat," Malik said. "There's no time." Vivian stood, lifting Nia as if she weighed nothing, settling her on her hip with practiced ease. Nia, too sick to protest, rested her head on Vivian's shoulder and closed her eyes. Malik grabbed his phone, shoved it into his pocket, and followed her into the rain. A black town car idled at the curb. A driver in a dark suit stepped out and opened the rear door without a word, face unreadable at the sight of his boss, soaked, vomit-stained, holding a stranger's child, emerging from a rundown house in Ballard. Vivian slid into the back seat with Nia still in her arms. Malik climbed in beside them. "Seattle Children's," Vivian told the driver. "Emergency entrance, fastest route." "Yes, ma'am." The car surged forward. Rain hammered the roof. Nia whimpered softly against Vivian's shoulder. Malik sat in leather he'd never afford and tried to reconcile the woman next to him, gently shifting his daughter to keep her comfortable, using the sleeve of her ruined coat to wipe sweat off Nia's forehead, with the woman who'd stood on his porch promising to ruin him. "You've done this before," Malik said quietly. Vivian didn't look at him. She watched Nia's face, tracked her breathing like it mattered. "Done what?" "Held a sick kid." A pause, long enough for an entire conversation neither of them was ready to have. "Yes," Vivian said, "I have." Malik's phone buzzed. He looked down. Marcus again. "The system," Malik said. "The logic bomb." "I know," Vivian said, still watching Nia. "If someone triggers it while we're at the hospital, I know." Then she reached into an inner coat pocket, the dry one, and pulled out a slim device Malik recognized immediately. A biometric authentication key, military grade, the kind that could punch through every security protocol in Slate Dynamics' infrastructure. She held it out. "This is my personal access key," she said. "It's tied to my biometric profile. With this, you can access root architecture from any terminal, including your phone. You can monitor the system, disarm the bomb if you find the key, and lock out anyone who tries to touch anything." She paused. "It's also the single most sensitive piece of hardware in the company. If it falls into the wrong hands, everything I've built is compromised." Malik stared at it, then at her. "You're trusting me with this." Vivian's jaw flexed. "I'm trusting you with your daughter's safety first and the company's second." Malik took the key. It was warm from her pocket, impossibly light, worth more than his house and car put together. "If you're going to carry my daughter through an ER," Malik said, "you should probably stop calling me Mr. Mitchell." The faintest ghost of something, almost a smile, crossed Vivian's mouth. "Malik," she said, like she was testing the weight of it. "Fine." They pulled up to Seattle Children's. The driver opened the door before the car fully stopped. Rain poured in. Vivian tightened her coat around Nia like a shield and stepped into the storm. Malik watched Vivian Slate, CEO of a $4 billion company, most feared executive in Seattle, carry his daughter through the rain toward the bright lights of the emergency room. Designer heels splashing puddles, coat ruined, child tucked close. Something inside him shifted. Not trust, not yet, but the certainty that whatever came next, the sabotage, the bomb, the merger, the mystery of who wanted to burn it all down, he wouldn't face it alone. He followed them inside. The fluorescent hum of the emergency department sat in that uncomfortable space between comforting and alarming, a held breath that never resolved. Malik stood at intake, filling out forms with hands that wouldn't stop shaking, watching from the corner of his eye as Vivian settled into a plastic chair with Nia curled against her chest. Saturday morning chaos filled the waiting room. A toddler with a bloody lip shrieking in his father's arms, a teenager cradling a wristbent wrong, an elderly woman in a wheelchair staring at nothing with the patience of someone who'd waited in rooms like this her whole life. Malik handed the clipboard back to the intake nurse, a tired woman with kind eyes and a lanyard covered in cartoon band-aids. She skimmed the forms, then looked up. "Insurance?" Malik patted his pockets. Nothing. He'd left with his phone and literally nothing else. No wallet, no card, no ID. Sir, without insurance information, I can still get her seen, the nurse said gently. But there will be... Put it on this, Vivian said from behind him. She'd appeared at this desk without sound, Nia balanced on her left hip like a sleeping koala, and held out a black credit card with her free hand. The nurse looked at the card, looked at Vivian, something like recognition flickered, but she said nothing and processed it. You didn't have to do that, Malik said as they moved back to the chairs. You left your wallet at home. Your daughter's fever has been climbing for 6 hours, Vivian said. This is not the moment for pride, Malik. He swallowed the argument. They sat. Nia stirred in Vivian's lap, eyes opening halfway, scanning unfamiliar faces with the fuzzy alarm of a child waking up somewhere she hadn't fallen asleep. Where are we? She mumbled. The hospital, baby girl, Malik said, leaning forward so she could see his face. The doctors are going to make your tummy feel better. I don't like hospitals. Professor Bunn doesn't like them either. Her gaze dropped to her empty hands. Her face crumpled. Where's Professor Bunn? Malik's stomach tightened. The rabbit was still on the hallway floor at home, soaked and stiff. He's at home resting, Malik said. He got sick too. Nia's lower lip trembled, but she didn't cry. She turned her face into Vivian's shoulder and shut her eyes. Vivian's hand rose automatically to rest on the back of Nia's head, fingers gentle in damp coils, and the instinctive motion caught Malik in the throat. His phone buzzed again, like a trapped insect. He opened his terminal app, installed years ago for exactly these kinds of emergencies, and plugged Vivian's biometric key into an adapter. The device pulsed once, authenticated, and suddenly Malik was staring at Slate Dynamics' root architecture on his phone. Every server, every node, every encrypted pathway laid out like a city under siege. The logic bomb sat at the center of it, pulsing like a heartbeat, armed, waiting. How bad? Vivian asked, watching him over Nia's head. The first layer triggered when Marcus tried key rotation, Malik said. Systems locked down now. Nobody can access anything. That means the bomb can't be triggered, but it also means the company is paralyzed. He scrolled through diagnostics. Good news, it hasn't detonated. Bad news, it's hair trigger now. One wrong input and everything goes. Can you trace who planted it? I'm working on it. He pulled the commit log for the patch pushed 3 days ago. Clean authorization signature, standard admin level, could have belonged to any of 6 people. But Malik knew systems the way surgeons knew anatomy. Coders left traces, habits, patterns, the digital equivalent of handwriting. He started digging. A door opened. Nia Mitchell, a nurse called, tablet in hand. Malik stood. Vivian stood too, Nia still in her arms. I can carry her, Malik said, reaching out. Your hands are full, Vivian said, nodding at the phone. And your daughter is comfortable. Don't wake her to prove a point. He hated that she was right. They followed the nurse into a treatment room painted in aggressive cheerfulness. Yellow walls, cartoon fish mural, glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling arranged into actual constellations. Vivian laid Nia on the exam bed with a gentleness that looked foreign in her body, like her muscles weren't used to moving this way but were trying anyway. Nia's eyes opened halfway. She stared up. That one's Orion, she whispered. Vivian looked up. How do you know that? My daddy showed me on the roof, Nia said, voice thin, before he got busy. The silence after that had weight. Malik stared at the floor. Vivian stared at the stars. Neither spoke until the doctor walked in. Young, ponytail, efficient kindness. I'm Dr. Amari. Let's take a look at this one. The exam was thorough. Temperature, blood pressure, abdominal palpation, blood draws. Nia was brave for the blood draw. She squeezed Malik's hand so hard his knuckles whitened, and she made a sound halfway between a whimper and a growl, like a small animal trying to be fierce. But she didn't cry. Dr. Amari praised her and gave her a rocket ship sticker. Nia studied it like an art collector, then stuck it to the back of Vivian's hand. For being nice, she said. Vivian looked down at the cheap shiny sticker like it weighed something real. She didn't remove it. I'm going to run these labs on priority, Dr. Amari said, pulling Malik aside while Vivian asked Nia about the stars. Based on my initial exam, it could be a bacterial infection, possibly strep that migrated to the gut. That would explain vomiting and high fever. I want blood work before I say anything definitive. How long? 30 minutes, maybe 40. We'll start fluids and bring down the fever with IV acetaminophen. She's dehydrated, which is making everything worse. Is she going to be okay? Malik asked, the words raw. Dr. Amari touched his arm. She's going to be fine. She's tough. I can tell. Then gently, when was her last well-child visit? It hit like a slap. Malik opened his mouth and nothing came out. I don't remember, he admitted. It's okay, Dr. Amari said, and Malik could tell she meant it. No judgment, just a doctor who'd seen 1,000 overwhelmed parents. We'll get her sorted. You can stay with her the whole time. The nurse came in to start the IV. Nia, brave for blood, was not brave for a needle that would stay. Her face pinched. Her hand reached for Malik. And Malik's phone chose that exact second to erupt with another call from Marcus, one he couldn't ignore. Go, Vivian said. She was already at the bedside, already taking Nia's hand, already lowering herself to eye level. I've got her. Malik hesitated exactly 1 second. Then he stepped into the hallway and answered. Tell me you haven't touched anything, he said. We haven't, Marcus said. But Malik, the board is calling an emergency session. They want answers, and there's something else. Marcus's voice dropped. Graham Crow is here. Malik went still. Graham Crow, 63, founding board member, old school coder who'd been writing assembly language when Malik was still in diapers. One of the original architects of Slate Dynamics back when it was 3 people in a garage. On the board ever since, permanent as the logo. Malik had always found Crow unsettling. Not because he was rude. Crow was polite, methodical, always prepared. He wore the same charcoal suit to every meeting. He asked detailed technical questions that proved he still understood the systems he'd helped build. He remembered people's children's birthdays, but there was something watchful underneath. Like a spider at the center of its web, still patient, aware of every vibration. What's he doing there on a Saturday? Malik asked. He says he heard about the system failure and came in to help, Marcus said. But he's asking questions, specific questions about the authentication bridge, encryption layer, failover protocols, the kind you only ask if you already know the answers. Malik leaned his shoulder against the hospital wall and shut his eyes. Pieces were starting to arrange themselves, not a full picture, but an outline of something ugly. Marcus, Malik said, listen carefully. Pull access logs for the last 90 days. Every admin level login, every system modification, every patch authorization. I need timestamps and IP addresses. Can I do that without touching the main system? The logs are mirrored to the backup analytics server, Marcus said quickly, separate from main architecture. Good. Pull everything and send it to my personal email, not company. And don't tell anyone you're doing it, especially not Crow. Malik, what is going on? I'm not sure yet, Malik said, but I think someone built that bomb for a reason that has nothing to do with crashing the merger. He ended the call and stood still, listening to hospital sounds, beeps, squeaking shoes, a distant child laugh. Then he looked through the window into Nia's room. Vivian sat in a plastic chair, coat draped behind her, blouse wrinkled and stained, holding Nia's hand while the nurse secured the IV. Vivian was speaking low. Malik couldn't hear the words through glass. But he saw Nia look up at her the way children look at adults who treat them like real people. Vivian said something. Nia laughed, a weak, watery laugh, but a laugh. It hit Malik in a place he didn't know was still soft. He walked back into the room. How is she? He asked. Fluids are going in, Vivian said. She should feel better within the hour. She's also informed me the stars aren't astronomically accurate. They put Polaris in the wrong place, Nia said with righteous indignation. Your father taught you well, Vivian said. And this time she looked at Malik and something in her eyes shifted. Respect, maybe, recognition, the quick math of someone updating assumptions. Malik pulled up his phone. I need to show you something. I'm seeing a pattern in the logs, and you're not going to like it. Vivian's face snapped back into corporate precision. She stood, glanced at Nia, now drowsy, watching the IV drip with childlike fascination, and moved close enough for their voices to stay between them. Talk, she said. The admin credential that authorized the patch was used from an external IP, Malik said. Not Office, not VPN. Someone logged in from outside the network. Can you trace it? Not from my phone, Malik said. I'll need a real terminal in about an hour, but here's what's bothering me more than the IP. He lowered his voice. The logic bomb isn't designed to destroy the company. It's designed to destroy evidence. Vivian went still. Explain. The purge targets specific directories, Malik said. Financial records from the last 18 months. Board communication archives. A subset of transaction logs tied to offshore accounts. Vivian's face drained slowly, like a tide going out. Someone had been moving money. And the bomb was insurance, so nobody could ever prove it. How much? Vivian asked. I can't see amounts without accessing protected directories, Malik said. And I can't do that without detonating the bomb. But the size and date range, this isn't petty cash, this is big. Crow has been on that board since the beginning, Vivian thought aloud, voice corroded by something deeper than anger. Betrayal. Then Nia's thin voice drifted from the bed. Daddy, the stars are spinning. Malik was at her side instantly. Glassy eyes, half-lidded, fever medicine dreaminess. That's the medicine working, Malik said softly. Close your eyes, baby girl. If I close my eyes, will they stop spinning? They'll slow down, I promise. Okay. She closed her eyes, then peeked one open. Is the pretty lady still here? Malik glanced at Vivian, arms crossed by the window, face unreadable. Yeah, Malik said. She's still here. Good, Nia murmured. She smells nice. Malik almost laughed, almost. Then his phone buzzed. Email from Marcus. Access logs compressed into a file his phone would struggle to open. I need a real computer, Malik told Vivian. The hospital has a business center on the second floor, Vivian said. Computers, printers, donor perks. I funded the pediatric wing renovation 3 years ago. Malik stared at her. You funded? Don't read into it, Vivian said. It was a tax strategy. Then, practical again. Go! I'll stay with Nia. Vivian? If you tell me I don't have to, she said, I'm going to remind you I have a $4.2 billion merger collapsing and an apparent embezzler on my board. Sitting beside a child watching IV fluid drip is the most productive thing I can do because it frees you to fix both problems. This isn't charity, it's resource allocation. Malik looked at her for a long moment. Then he looked at Nia, asleep again, small chest rising and falling evenly, hand resting near where Vivian had held it. Vivian nodded toward the door. If she wakes up scared, I'll hold her hand, tell her the correct location of Polaris, and inform her her father is nearby and coming right back. I'm not completely without the capacity for human warmth, despite what the Glassdoor reviews suggest. Malik let out a short, surprised laugh before he could stop it. Vivian's mouth twitched, adjacent to a smile. He took the key, the logs, his phone, and went to the business center. It took him 47 minutes. The business center was small and well-appointed. 3 desktops, a printer, a coffee machine that produced something approximating espresso. Malik plugged in, opened the access logs, and started tracing the admin credential through 90 days. The pattern emerged slowly, like a photograph developing. The credential used to authorize the sabotage patch had been accessed 17 times in the past 3 months from external IP addresses. Malik ran each through a geolocation database. 14 of the 17 logins originated from the same location, a hotel in downtown Seattle. Not just any hotel, the Four Seasons, specifically the lobby-level business center with complimentary Wi-Fi that didn't require room key authentication. Anyone could walk in, sit down, and use the connection. The remaining 3 logins came from a residential IP on Mercer Island, one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the metro area. Malik ran the address through public records and felt the final piece click into place with sick certainty. The IP was registered to the home network of Graham Crow. He dug deeper. He couldn't open protected transaction logs without disarming the bomb, but the backup analytics server kept metadata, creation dates, modification timestamps, directory labels. Over 18 months, someone had been creating and modifying financial records in a directory labeled Project Lighthouse. The directory had been created with Crow's admin credentials. Updates every 2 weeks, always Thursday, always between 2 and 4 a.m. And Project Lighthouse didn't exist anywhere official. No board minutes, no project management, no budget allocation. It was a ghost. Malik pulled metadata for shell accounts referenced. Naming conventions were clinical strings of numbers and letters. But someone had been careless. One registration detail left unencrypted. A beneficiary name tied to an offshore account, Lighthouse Holdings, LLC. Malik found the registered agent in Delaware corporate records with a simple web search, a law firm that had exactly one other client of note in public filings. Graham Crow. Malik leaned back and stared at the ceiling. Not courtroom ready yet, but clear enough to see the shape. Shell company, offshore accounts, regular transfers disguised inside company infrastructure. And when a merger threatened outside auditors who'd inevitably spot the discrepancy, Crow did what cornered animals did. He set a trap. The logic bomb wasn't just to erase evidence. It was to create chaos. Enough chaos to blame someone else. And who better than the burned-out engineer who just quit in the middle of a crisis? Or the CEO whose company was falling apart on her watch? Malik took screenshots, saved metadata, compiled IP traces, grabbed corporate filings, and packaged everything into a single encrypted file. Then he walked back to Nia's room. Vivian was exactly where he'd left her. Plastic chair beside the bed. But something had changed. Nia was awake, sitting up slightly, showing Vivian a drawing on the back of a hospital menu with a pen she'd apparently borrowed from a nurse. Vivian leaned in, studying it with genuine focus. "That's you," Nia said, pointing to a stick figure with long hair. "And that's Daddy, and that's Professor Bunn. He's in the hospital too because he got sick at the same time as me, which is a coincidence." "A remarkable coincidence," Vivian agreed. "And those are the stars," Nia said. "The right ones, not the wrong ones." "I can see your Orion is much more accurate," Vivian said. Nia beamed, the first real smile Malik had seen in 2 days. It hit him harder than the case file in his pocket. "Hey, baby girl," Malik said from the doorway. "How are you feeling?" "Better," Nia said. "The lady doctor said my blood is fighting the bad germs, and the bad germs are losing." That's great news." Vivian looked up, shifting back into reporting voice. "Dr. Amari got full results about 20 minutes ago. Streptococcal infection that migrated to the gastrointestinal tract. Bacterial, not viral. Antibiotics will knock it out quickly. They're starting amoxicillin through the IV and sending her home with an oral course. Fever should break within 12 hours. She's going to be fine." "She's going to be fine," Malik repeated, like his body needed to hear it twice. Vivian held his gaze. "She's tough." Malik swallowed and turned to the window so Nia wouldn't see his eyes. Then he turned back and held up his phone. "We need to talk." Vivian read his face and nodded. She stood, smoothed her wrinkled blouse, then turned to Nia. "Your father and I need to discuss very boring adult things, right outside the door. Can you watch the stars and make sure they don't move?" "They're on the ceiling," Nia said. "They can't move." "Exactly," Vivian said. "That's why you're perfect for the job." Nia accepted this with the solemnity of someone given a mission. In the hallway, Malik showed Vivian everything. The IP traces, metadata, shell company link, registered agent. He spoke fast, quiet, watching each brick land in Vivian's mind. She didn't interrupt. She didn't flinch. She built a structure out of facts, mortared with implication, until the whole was undeniable. "Thandim, 18 months, she said at last. "He's been stealing from me for 18 months. "At minimum," Malik said. "Metadata only goes back that far. It could have started earlier, and the bomb was insurance. If auditors come, he destroys evidence and pins blame. On me, on you, or both." Vivian leaned back against the hospital wall and stared at the acoustic tile ceiling. Not defeat, not despair. Something harder. Something like the moment a general stops retreating and starts planning a counterattack. "We can't go to the board," she said. "Not yet. Crow, boy, has allies. If we accuse without bulletproof evidence, he'll frame it as a coup. He'll say I'm eliminating a founding member to consolidate power. The evidence is strong," Malik said, "but circumstantial." Vivian's eyes locked on his. "We need the actual financial records. Transaction amounts, account numbers, money trail." "Those records are inside the protected directories," Malik said. "To access them, I have to disarm the bomb. To disarm it, I need the new encryption key." "And to find the key," Vivian said, You need to think like Crow. Malik nodded. The password will be personal, meaningful enough for him to remember under pressure, obscure enough nobody else guesses. Vivian went quiet, then said, "When Nia is discharged, come back to your house. I'll tell you everything I know about Graham Crow. Every habit, every detail. We'll find that password." Malik looked through the window at his daughter, asleep beneath incorrect stars, face finally peaceful. "She can't stay here alone," Malik said. "She won't," Vivian said. "Doctor said she can discharge in 2 hours as long as fever responds. We'll bring her home, put her to bed, and work from your kitchen." "My kitchen is a disaster." "I've seen your house," Vivian said. "Everything about it is a disaster. That won't stop me." Malik almost smiled. Almost. Then he felt exhaustion catch up. Adrenaline burning out into something heavy. "Vivian," he said, and something in the way he said her name made her still. "Why are you doing this? And don't say resource allocation." She looked at him. The hallway hummed. Rain tapped windows. Distant monitors beeped. "Because 12 years ago," she said carefully, choosing words like steps on thin ice, "I was 30 and I just closed my first major deal. Biggest day of my career. And I got a call from a hospital that sounded exactly like this one. Someone I loved was in trouble, and I chose the deal." Her jaw worked, hands clasped tight. I chose the deal," she repeated. "And I've spent 12 years making sure nobody sees what that cost me. So when I watched you choose your daughter yesterday, when you walked away from the biggest crisis of your career because a 6-year-old needed you, I didn't see a man having a breakdown." Malik waited. "I saw the right answer," Vivian said. Then she straightened, armor sliding back on imperfectly, cracks still visible if you knew where to look. "Now," she said, "are we going to stop a thief and save my company, or are we going to stand in a hospital hallway having feelings?" Malik looked at her. Ice Queen, human underneath, both real. "Both," he said. "We're going to do both." Vivian almost smiled, closer than before. "Then let's get your daughter home," she said, turning back toward the room where Nia slept, and the particular safety of knowing everyone she needed was close enough to touch. The drive back to Ballard was quiet. Nia slept in the back seat, head on Vivian's shoulder, breathing steady. The fever broke somewhere around the 3rd hour of IV antibiotics, and Dr. Amari discharged her with a prescription, a follow-up appointment, and instructions to rest and drink fluids. Malik stared out at rain streaking the window and thought about passwords. The new encryption key would be personal. That's how these traps worked. A date, a name, a phrase that meant something only to the person who chose it. Malik didn't know Graham Crow. He knew the polished board member version, the elder statesman of Seattle Tech, a mask. To find the password, he had to find the man. They pulled up at Malik's house. The driver opened the door. Malik lifted Nia from Vivian's arms. She stirred but didn't wake, fingers curling into his shirt as he carried her through rain towards the sagging porch. Vivian paused, eyes flicking to the broken gutter and dented mailbox, and Malik could see her mentally pricing repairs. "Don't," Malik said. "I wasn't going to say anything," Vivian said. You were thinking it." "Thinking isn't a crime." Inside, Malik tucked Nia into bed, covers up to her chin. Professor Bunn lay where he'd fallen in the hallway, stiff and crusty, but Malik picked him up anyway and set him on Nia's dresser. "I'll wash him," Malik whispered. "He'll be good as new." He stood in the doorway a moment and let the day settle around him. 12 hours ago, he'd been ignoring Slack while his daughter burned in the next room. Now she was safe. And somehow, he was about to spend the night hunting evidence with the CEO of the company he'd quit. In the kitchen, Vivian had already cleared space. Pizza boxes stacked, mugs moved to the sink, cables coiled, Malik's laptop open on the table beside a legal pad, and 3 pens Vivian had produced from her bag like supplies were a form of magic. Vivian stared at the coffee maker like it was a hostile acquisition. "Does this device function?" "Sometimes if you hit it on the left side," Malik said. Vivian hit it on the left side. It sputtered to life. "Remarkable," she said. "The trick is knowing where to hit." "That's true of most things." She poured 2 cups of something technically coffee and set one down. "Tell me exactly what we need," she said. Malik explained. The bomb was armed. Any attempt to access protected directories triggered purge. To disarm, he had to enter the correct key on the first try. No second chances. The key could be a word, a phrase, letters and numbers, anything. But it'll mean something to Crow, Malik said. What do you know about his personal life? Family, hobbies, dates? Vivian sat across from him, hands around her mug, eyes focused on middle distance. Graham never married. No children. He has a sister in Portland, but they're estranged. Mentioned it once years ago. Something about an inheritance dispute after their father died. Father's name? I don't know. When did the father die? Early 90s, I think, before the company was founded. She paused. He used to talk about his father reverently. Said he owned a chain of hardware stores across the Pacific Northwest. Graham idolized him. Malik wrote it down. Fathers and father figures were common password material. Dates of death, nicknames. Hardware stores have a name. Crow and Sons, I think, or Crow Hardware. Sister's name? Martha. Something with an M. Vivian frowned. Martha. Malik wrote it. What else? Golf, Vivian said. Obsessive. Plays every Sunday at Broadmoor. Same tee time for 15 years. He also collects antique watches. He wears a Patek Philippe to board meetings and mentions it every meeting. Model 2499 second series. He claims he paid almost $3 million for it at a Christie's auction. Malik wrote 2499 second series, $3 million, and kept going. Vivian recalled details and fragments. A childhood dog named Captain, a favorite restaurant in San Francisco that closed years ago, a college roommate who became a famous economist, a summer on a fishing boat in Alaska before his first company. Malik cataloged everything, building a profile deeper than any board bio. A man shaped by a domineering father, an estranged sister, careful grudges, calculated moves. A man who treated life like chess. He's methodical, Malik said. Even his grudges are planned. That's what makes him dangerous. Vivian nodded. He doesn't act impulsively. He waits. He positions. He strikes when you're looking away. So, the password won't be random, Malik said. It'll be meaningful, connected to his self-image. He looked up. How does Graham Crow see himself? Vivian stared at the rain streaking the kitchen window. As the rightful heir, she said finally. He's always believed he should have been the one to run this company. He was there at the founding, he wrote original code, brought in first investors, but when we restructured and brought in outside leadership, the board chose me instead of him. He smiled, she said, congratulated me, said all the right things, but he never accepted it. He sees me as someone who stole what should have been his. Then Nia's small voice cut into the adult air, that arrogant son of a daddy. Malik looked up. Nia stood in the doorway in dinosaur pajamas, hair messy from sleep, cheeks still faintly flushed. She held Professor Bunn by his one ear, apparently unconcerned he was stiff and gross and needed a washing machine. Hey, baby girl, Malik said, instantly up and kneeling. You should be sleeping. I woke up, Nia said. My tummy feels better. Her eyes shifted past Malik to Vivian. You're still here. I'm still here, Vivian said. Why? Your father and I are working on a project. What kind? The boring kind, Vivian said. Numbers and computers. Nia considered this gravely. I like computers, not numbers. Numbers are hard. I agree completely, Vivian said. Malik checked Nia's forehead. The fever was down, still there but lower. Antibiotics were winning. You hungry? Malik asked. Toast? Soup, Nia said. Can I eat it out here? I don't want to be in my room alone. Malik glanced at Vivian. Vivian gave the smallest shrug. Your house. Sure, Malik said. Let's see what we have. He found a can of chicken noodle soup in a cabinet he'd forgotten existed, heated it on a stove with 2 broken burners, and set the bowl in front of Nia. Nia ate slowly, eyes moving between soup, Vivian, and the laptop screen like she was studying the adult world. Professor Bunn needs a bath, Nia announced. I know, Malik said. I'll wash him tonight. His ear is falling off again. I noticed. Can you fix it? I can try. Nia looked at Vivian. Can you fix things? What kind of things? Vivian asked. Like Professor Bunn. His ear keeps falling off because it's been sewn too many times. Vivian was quiet a beat. Then, may I see him? Nia held the rabbit out. Vivian took it carefully, turning it over, studying seams and worn fabric with surprising precision. The fabric's too worn, Vivian said. It won't hold stitches in the same place. You need to reinforce the base before you reattach the ear. Can you do that? Nia asked. I'd need a needle, thread, and a small piece of fabric for patching. Daddy has a sewing kit, Nia said, in the bathroom. Grammy gave it to him, but he never uses it. Vivian, you don't have to, Malik started. I know I don't, Vivian said, standing. She looked at Malik in a way that dared him to argue. But your daughter's rabbit needs surgery, and I happen to be qualified. She left the kitchen. Nia watched her go with awe. She's intense. Malik nearly choked on his coffee. Where did you learn that word? School. My teacher says I'm intense too. She says it like it's bad, but I don't think it's bad. It's not bad, Malik said. It just means you pay attention. Nia nodded. Vivian pays attention. Yes, Malik said softly. She does. Vivian returned with the sewing kit, still in its plastic box, like it had been waiting years for relevance, and sat at the table. She threaded a needle like someone who'd done it 1,000 times, found a scrap of fabric close enough in color, and began reinforcing the ear base. Nia abandoned Soup to watch, eyes tracking every stitch. Where'd you learn to sew? Nia asked. My grandmother taught me, Vivian said. She was a seamstress. What's a seamstress? Someone who makes clothes or fixes them. She had a little shop in a town called Spokane. When I was about your age, I used to sit under her sewing table and watch her work. Did she make you clothes? She made me everything, Vivian said. Dresses, coats, even a costume once. I wanted to be a princess, but not a regular princess, a space princess. Nia's eyes went wide. With a cape! And silver boots, Vivian said, voice softening without her noticing. And a crown made of aluminum foil. It was the best costume in my school. Everyone wanted to know where I got it. What did you tell them? Vivian smiled faintly. I told them my grandmother was magic. Nia smiled, a real smile. Malik felt something shift in his chest. He'd watched his daughter too often be talked down to by adults performing niceness. He'd gotten used to being the only person who truly saw her. But Vivian was seeing her. The stitching your father did earlier was creative, Vivian said, examining Malik's old repair. It looks like dental floss and packing tape. That was when Professor Bunn fell in the toilet, Nia said matter-of-factly. I see, Vivian said dryly. Daddy said a bad word, Nia added. Malik covered his face. Can we talk about literally anything else? This is the most interesting conversation we've had all day, Vivian said, and for a second, the Ice Queen tone almost sounded like humor. She finished, bit the thread, and held Professor Bunn up. The ear was reattached, reinforced with a neat patch that blended in, better than it had looked in years. Nia took him back with reverence. You fixed him. He's not perfect, Vivian said. The fabric's still old, but he should hold for a while. Thank you, Nia said quietly, then looked at Vivian with fierce sincerity. You're nice. I'm not typically described that way, Vivian said. Well, you are to me. Vivian opened her mouth, closed it, and looked away. For a fraction of a second, Malik saw something raw flash across her face. Grief, maybe. Then it disappeared. We should get back to work, Vivian said, reaching for the laptop like it was a shield. Board meeting is in 14 hours. Nia yawned. The adrenaline of rabbit surgery wore off into exhaustion. Come on, Malik said, lifting her gently. Back to bed. Can Vivian tuck me in? Nia asked. The question hung. Malik looked at Vivian. Vivian looked at Nia. Something passed that didn't need words. If that's all right with your father, Vivian said. Malik nodded. They walked down the hall, Malik leading, Nia in the middle, clutching Professor Bunn, Vivian following with careful steps like she wasn't sure she belonged in this small, intimate space. Nia climbed into bed, arranged Professor Bunn beside her pillow like a guard. Vivian stood at the edge, uncertain for the first time since she arrived. Will you come back? Nia asked. After we finish the boring numbers, Vivian said. I don't know, Nia said seriously. Maybe you should. Malik cleared his throat. Nia, Daddy gets lonely, Nia continued, undeterred. He talks to the computer more than he talks to people. Vivian looked at Malik, something like amusement, something like understanding. Get some sleep, Vivian told Nia. If the stars are in the wrong place, close your eyes and put them where they belong. That's what I do, Nia said proudly. I fix them in my head. A smart girl, Vivian said. Malik kissed Nia's forehead, cooler now, dry, and turned off the light, leaving the door cracked the way she liked. He and Vivian walked back to the kitchen, leaving the warmth of the small bedroom behind for the cold clarity of work. They worked through the night. Rain continued, relentless. Coffee went cold, got reheated, went cold again. The legal pad filled with notes, crossed out, rewritten, crossed out again. Malik ran searches, tried pattern after pattern. They tried everything. William Crowe. William 1932, Crowe and Sons, Martha, Martha C. Martha Crowe. 1961, Captain, Captain Crowe, Good Boy Captain. The watch, $24.99 second series, $3 million, Christie 2019, uppercase, lowercase substitutions. Dates reversed, abbreviated. Nothing. 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 By 3 a.m., Malik's eyes burned and his mind started folding. "We're missing something," he said, rubbing his face. It has to mean something to him. Vivian stared at the legal pad, lipstick worn away, hair escaping in wisps that softened her severity. "What if it's not about his past?" she said slowly. "What if it's about his future?" Malik sat up. "What do you mean?" "We've been looking at attachments, family, possessions, memories. But Graham is a planner. What if the password isn't where he's been, it's where he's going?" Malik's mind raced. Lighthouse Holdings. Why Lighthouse? Vivian thought. A lighthouse is a guide, a beacon, something that shows you the way home. Then she lifted her eyes. Graham used to talk about retiring, buying a house somewhere warm, spending his last years on a beach. He always said he was going to sail into the sunset like his father never got to. His father died young, Vivian added. Heart attack at 53. Graham's 63 now. He's outlived him by a decade. I don't think it comforts him. I think it scares him. Malik leaned forward. Did he ever mention a specific lighthouse? Vivian went very still. A photograph, she said slowly. In his office. I only saw it once years ago. It was in his desk drawer. I wasn't snooping. I needed a pen and I saw it. A man and a boy in front of a lighthouse, she continued. His father and him, I assumed. The boy had a t-shirt that said Point No Point. Malik's fingers flew over the keyboard. Point No Point Lighthouse, built in 1879, Hansville, Washington, oldest on Puget Sound. It fits, Malik said. Personal, obscure, connected to his father. Try it, Vivian said. One shot, no second chances. If Malik was wrong, the bomb purged everything. Evidence, financial records, proof. He hovered over enter. Point, no point, he typed. No spaces, no numbers. He hit enter. The screen went dark. For 3 of the longest seconds of Malik's life, nothing happened. Laptop fan, word. Rain hit the window like impatient fingers. Then green text flooded the screen. Logic bomb disarmed, encryption key accepted, protected directories unlocked, access granted. Malik exhaled so hard he felt it in his spine. We're in, he said. Vivian was already beside him, reading over his shoulder as file names populated. Financial records, transaction logs, communication archives. Pull up the transactions, Vivian said. I want amounts. Malik opened the Project Lighthouse directory and clicked the first file. His stomach dropped. The numbers were bigger than he'd expected. Much bigger. Over the past 18 months, Graham Crowe had transferred a total of $47 million from Slate Dynamics to offshore accounts controlled by Lighthouse Holdings. The transfers were disguised as vendor payments, consulting fees, equipment purchases for companies that didn't exist. $47 million, Vivian said, voice flat in the way voices go when emotions underneath are too large to release. It gets worse, Malik said, already opening communications archives. Emails between Crowe and an offshore lawyer. Strategy, timelines. He bought property in Costa Rica 6 months ago, Malik said, scrolling. Beach house in a gated community under a holding company registered in the Caymans. He was going to run. And burn evidence, Vivian said softly, and blame me, Malik said, or you, or both. Malik pulled up an email dated 2 weeks ago. He's been feeding information to Douglas Chen, telling him you've been making questionable financial decisions, that the merger is a mistake, that the company needs steadier leadership. Vivian's jaw clenched. Douglas has been cold to me in meetings. I thought it was merger terms. It's a coup, Malik said. Crowe discredits you, Triggers bomb, destroys evidence, steps in stability. The board vote tomorrow, Vivian said. Emergency session, leadership response. She went silent, then walked to the window, reflection ghostly in glass. So, I had 12 years, she said. I built this company from nothing. I worked 100-hour weeks for a decade. I sacrificed everything. She cut herself off. He's not taking anything, Malik said, turning to face her. We have everything. Transaction records, offshore accounts, shell company, emails, the key. We can prove it. It's not enough, Vivian said, and her voice had turned to ice. Malik frowned. What do you mean not enough? This is $47 million. This is federal prison. Documentation can be disputed, Vivian said. Crow will claim records were falsified. He has allies. If this turns into a he said, she said while the merger is closing, the company tears itself apart and Meridian walks. So, what do you want? Malik asked. Vivian turned from the window, face hard. I want to finish him. I want him to walk into that boardroom and look me in the eye and know it's over. I want him to see it coming and not be able to stop it. Malik stared at her. Storm of a woman, human under armor, both real. The Four Seasons IP traces, Malik said slowly. If we can prove Crow was physically present at the hotel those nights, credit card receipts, security footage, that corroborates digital evidence. Harder to claim fabrication. The hotel won't release without subpoena, Malik said. Vivian's mouth curled slightly. Then we get creative. She pulled out her phone. I have a contact at Four Seasons Corporate, someone who owes me a favor from a deal I helped facilitate 3 years ago. She walked into the living room to make the call, leaving Malik alone with a laptop full of betrayal. He kept digging. Crow had been meticulous, which meant he'd also been arrogant. Personal notes weren't encrypted because he'd never imagined anyone got past the bomb. The notes read like a ledger of grudges. Every slight over 12 years, every meeting where Vivian disagreed, every magazine feature where she was celebrated and he wasn't mentioned. I found it, Vivian said from the doorway. She looked energized now, exhaustion burned away by the hunt. Four Seasons keeps security footage for 90 days, she said. My contact is pulling feeds from the business center during dates matching our IP traces. He's also pulling Crow's member profile, loyalty account. They track everything, reservations, room bookings, even what drinks he orders. Nolan's, Malik's, email pinged. He opened the attachment. Video files, spreadsheets, a PDF summary of Crow's activity at the Four Seasons over 6 months. The video showed a man in a charcoal suit entering business center, sitting at a computer, working for time windows matching suspicious admin logins. Same man, same suit, same watch. 17 times. That's him, Vivian said. That's corroboration. The spreadsheet showed credit card transactions, meals, tips, valet, time-stamped, traceable, aligning perfectly with logins. He's done, Malik said. He just doesn't know it yet. Vivian didn't smile. She looked like someone holding a weapon and choosing where it would land. Board meeting in 9 hours, she said. We need to prepare. Then she looked at Malik. You found the evidence. Disarmed bomb. Built the case. You're coming with me. I quit, Malik said, a reflex. Consider yourself unquit, Vivian said. Temporary consulting basis, full daily rate plus expenses, and the severance package I promised regardless. Malik started to object. This isn't charity, Vivian said. It's me paying for value received. Then, softer, still controlled, but real. You could have let me drown yesterday. You had every reason. I threatened you, and you helped anyway. I helped because my daughter was sick, and you didn't hesitate to... I know why, Vivian cut in, gentleness surprising them both. I know exactly why. That's why I'm asking you to see this through. Not for me. For 7,000 employees whose livelihoods depend on that merger. For the truth. Malik looked around the kitchen, laptop humming, rain tapping, distant sound of Naya breathing down the hall. A father who'd finally chosen his daughter. A woman who'd learned what that choice cost too late. Two people with every reason to walk away, and no good reason to stay, except that some things were worth fighting for. 9 hours, Malik said. We should sleep. Sleep is for people who aren't about to take down a $47 million embezzler, Vivian said. Then her eyes flickered. Sleep is for people who have sick children who might wake up needing them. I'll take the couch, Vivian added. I wasn't offering you the couch. I know, Vivian said. I'm taking it anyway. She held up a hand. 3 hours, then we prepare. Deal, Malik said, because his body had stopped negotiating with reality. He gave her a blanket, watched her settle onto his couch with the same efficiency she brought to everything. Then he stood in the doorway of Nia's room, listening to her breathe. 3 hours until everything changed. 3 hours until they walked into a boardroom full of people who didn't know what was coming. 3 hours until they ended the career of a man who'd spent a year planning to destroy them both. Against all odds, Malik slept. His body woke him at 6:15, 3 hours and 12 minutes later, because he'd forgotten to set the alarm. Gray Seattle dawn seeped through blinds, turning everything the color of old pewter. Malik lay still a second, dread heavy in his chest, then remembered why. Nia, hospital, logic bomb, Graham Crow, $47 million, board meeting in less than 3 hours. He checked on Nia, still asleep, breathing steady, color better. Fever broken completely sometime overnight, cool, dry skin when he pressed his hand to her forehead. Professor Bunn tucked under her arm, reinforced ear holdings strong. In the living room, Vivian was already awake, laptop open, hair pulled into a severe ponytail she'd somehow managed without her usual tools, blouse wrinkled, suit pants resigned to losing their crease. She looked like a corporate warrior between battles. Coffee's made, she said without looking up. I figured out your machine. Did you sleep at all? Malik asked. 2 hours, Vivian said. Enough! She finally looked up. Even exhausted, something sharp and alive stayed in her eyes. Press. I organized evidence into presentation format, she said. When we walk in, I want every piece at our fingertips. Malik poured coffee and stared out at Drizzle. I need someone to stay with Nia, he said. Already handled, Vivian said. He turned. What? My assistant, Patricia, Vivian said. 3 children. 10 years as a pediatric nurse before administration. She's on her way with supplies, books, coloring, snacks. She'll stay until we get back. You called your assistant at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. I called at 5, Vivian said. She was already awake. Her voice softened just a fraction. I told her about Nia. She volunteered before I finished. Malik didn't know what to do with that. 24 hours ago, he'd been alone. Now people were showing up. Thank you, he managed. Vivian nodded once. Everything didn't need to be a moment. Patricia arrived at 7:30. Sturdy woman in her 50s, kind eyes, calm competence. She shook Malik's hand, smiled warmly, and went straight to Nia's room. She's sleeping, Patricia reported. Fever's gone. I'll have breakfast when she wakes. I brought Harry Potter audiobooks. She loves Harry Potter, Malik said. Vivian stared very deliberately at her laptop, not meeting Malik's eyes. How did you... Malik started. We need to go, Vivian said, shutting the laptop. The town car took 35 minutes downtown. Malik sat in back with a manila folder of printed evidence, transactions, IP traces, security stills, Lighthouse Holdings registration, everything to end Graham Crow's career and land him in federal prison. Vivian sat beside him, rehearsing on a tablet. She'd changed into fresh clothes, charcoal suit, silk blouse the color of ice, armor restored. But Malik knew what lived underneath now. There's something you should know, Vivian said as they crossed the bridge towards the financial district. Douglas Chen called an hour ago. Gave me a heads up there would be difficult questions. He's warning you, Malik said, or gloating. He thinks Crow's plan worked, Vivian said, smile sharp. He thinks I'm about to be humiliated and forced out. Do you think he's in on embezzlement? Malik asked. I don't think so, Vivian said. Douglas is a follower. Crow fed him enough to make him a useful idiot. He genuinely believes he's protecting the company from my reckless leadership. She paused. When the truth comes out, he'll be first to claim he had no idea. That's politics. The car slid into a private garage beneath a glass tower rising 47 stories into gray sky. Slate Dynamics headquarters. Malik had worked there 4 years, but never entered through the executive entrance. They rode a private elevator to the 37th floor. The hallway outside the boardroom was lined with art that cost more than Malik's house. I need to make calls, Vivian said. There's a conference room down the hall. Set up. Someone will help with AV. I don't need it, Malik said. Vivian's mouth twitched. Let them help anyway. People like feeling useful. She disappeared into her office. Malik set up the presentation, tested slides, checked video files. The work was calming, technical, precise, controllable. At 8:45, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mr. Mitchell, I know what you're planning. Walk away now and there won't be consequences. Continue and I will make sure you never work in this industry again. GC. Malik stared, then screenshotted and forwarded to Vivian. Her response arrived 30 seconds later. Good. He's scared. The next 45 minutes blurred. Vivian met with legal, 3 attorneys in expensive suits briefed overnight. Preparing federal documentation. IT confirmed systems online, bomb disarmed, directories accessible to authorized personnel. At 9:25, board members filed in. Malik watched through glass. Rebecca Hale, CTO, back early from Portugal, jet lag on her face. David Park, head of security, uncomfortable. Douglas Chen, leaning back with smug satisfaction. At 9:28, Graham Crow walked in. Charcoal suit, same as footage. Patek Philippe watch gleaming. Silver hair perfect. Benevolent expression like a man about to deliver bad news while pretending it wasn't his fault. He sat across from where Vivian would sit and folded hands with patient confidence. He didn't know. At 9:30, Vivian entered. Malik followed 2 steps behind with the folder. His heart pounded, face neutral. Eyes widened when they saw him. Miss Slate, Douglas Chen said, voice dripping false concern. I wasn't aware we'd have additional attendees. Mr. Mitchell submitted his resignation yesterday, as I understand it. Awesome! Mr. Mitchell is here as a consultant, Vivian said, taking the head seat. His expertise was critical in resolving the failure and is relevant to our discussion. Douglas reddened. I must object. Noted, Vivian said, voice ice. Objection overruled. Graham Crow watched with mild curiosity, like a cat observing a mouse. His eyes met Malik's briefly. Malik saw no fear, only calculation, as if Malik was a manageable inconvenience. Thank you all for coming, Vivian began. She stood, tablet in hand. As you know, we experienced a significant system failure yesterday that threatened our merger timeline. I'm pleased to report the issue is fully resolved and all systems are operational. A murmur of relief. Douglas's smugness flickered. Disappointment. However, Vivian continued, the investigation revealed something far more serious than technical malfunction. She tapped the tablet. The screen lit with the first slide. What we discovered was evidence of systematic fraud, embezzlement, and corporate sabotage. Silence. Over the past 18 months, Vivian said, steady and cold, someone within this organization has been siphoning funds through a shell company called Lighthouse Holdings. The total transferred to offshore accounts exceeds $47 million. Shock rose like heat. Glances snapped between board members. Graham Crow's face stayed still. Vivian advanced slides, transaction records, dates, amounts, account numbers. Transfers every 2 weeks, Thursday between 2 and 4 a.m. More slides, IP addresses and geolocation. External access Four Seasons Business Center. Then security footage stills. A man in a charcoal suit at a computer. The image was unmistakable. Graham Crow, face clear, watch on wrist. Every eye turned toward him. For the first time, the benevolent mask cracked. This is absurd, Crow said, voice tight but controlled. These images could be falsified. This presentation is a desperate attempt to deflect from the real issue, Vivian's catastrophic mismanagement. The images are time-stamped and authenticated by Four Seasons corporate security, Vivian replied. We also have your loyalty member profile documenting your presence there on each date, including dining reservations and credit card transactions. Crow spread his hands. Coincidence. I travel frequently. My credentials could have been stolen. Identity theft. Someone's framing me. Vivian smiled. Unpleasant. Interesting theory. Let's explore it. She tapped again. The screen displayed Lighthouse Holdings registration documents. Registered in Delaware 3 years ago, Vivian said. Registered agent Harmon and Associates. Harmon and Associates has exactly one other client of note in public filings. She paused. You. Crow opened his mouth. I have no knowledge of... he started. Vivian advanced slides. Costa Rica property records, photographs, deed details. A beautiful house overlooking Pacific Ocean. I've never seen that property, Crow said too quickly. Then why is the deed registered to a trust in your sister's name? Vivian asked. Crow's mouth closed. Martha Crow of Portland, Oregon, Vivian continued. The sister you've been estranged from for 20 years. I imagine you thought using her name created distance, but trust documents were filed with your personal attorney using letterhead from your firm, signed by a notary married to your housekeeper. Absolute silence. Douglas Chen looked ashen. Rebecca Hale stared like she'd found a snake in her garden. You don't have proof, Crow said, and now his voice sounded cornered. Actually, Vivian said, we do. She nodded at Malik. Malik stepped forward and placed the manila folder on the table. Mr. Crow, Malik said, first time he spoke in the room, when you changed the encryption key on the authentication bridge, you used a password you believed nobody would guess. No point. Something flickered in Crow's eyes. Fear. Real fear. The lighthouse where your father took you, Malik continued. It's in a photograph you keep in your desk drawer. You built the logic bomb to destroy evidence, but you kept personal notes. 12 years of grievances against Miss Slate. Unencrypted, detailed. They read like a manifesto. Malik laid documents out. You never imagined anyone got past your failsafe. This is character assassination, Crow snarled. A witch hunt by a woman who's run this company into the ground. The FBI would disagree, Vivian said, voice slicing through the room. Every head turned. I made a call this morning, Vivian said. Financial Crimes Division. Agents are waiting in the lobby. When this meeting concludes, they will escort you out. Crow's face cycled through white to red to something beyond color, fury and disbelief. You can't do this, he said, losing control. I built this company. I was there in the garage. I wrote original code. I brought first investors. This company wouldn't exist without me. And it almost didn't, Vivian said, because of you. $47 million, Graham, she continued. You stole $47 million and planted a bomb that could have destroyed everything. You were willing to let 7,000 people lose jobs, let the merger collapse, destroy our reputation, so you could vanish to a beach in Costa Rica. I deserved it, Crow snapped, raw now. I deserved that money. I deserved this company. I gave everything to build it. And what did I get? A board seat and consulting fee. I watched you become a billionaire on paper while I sat smiling and pretending I wasn't being robbed. So you decided to rob us, Malik said. I decided to take what was mine, Crow said, standing, chair scraping. And I would have succeeded if you hadn't. He jabbed a finger at Malik. If this burned-out engineer hadn't decided to play hero. Sit down, Graham, Vivian said. Don't tell me to sit down. You have rights, Vivian said. What you have right now is the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it because everything you've said is being recorded, and the agents in the lobby will be very interested in your confession. Crow looked around. Board members avoiding his eyes, the screen full of evidence, the folder of documents that would bury him. Hatred concentrated on Malik's face. Then, abruptly, Crow's fury drained. He adjusted his tie, smoothed his suit jacket, and sat back down with the calm of a man who'd decided something. Well played, Vivian, he said smoothly. Well played. This isn't a game, Vivian said. Everything is a game, Crow said, and smiled. A terrible smile, like someone with nothing left to lose. And I may have lost this round, but I set other pieces in motion, pieces you can't call back. Vivian's expression held, but Malik saw something tighten behind her eyes. What pieces? Vivian asked. Crow's smile widened. Check your phone. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Vivian pulled out her phone, unlocked it, and went still. What is it? Douglas Chen asked, leaning forward. Vivian didn't answer. Color drained from her face. Malik stepped closer. Vivian. She turned the phone so he could see. A local tabloid article published 17 minutes ago. Headline, Slate Dynamics CEO in secret affair with disgraced engineer. Explosive photos reveal late-night rendezvous. Under it, photos. Vivian's car. Outside Malik's house. Vivian visible through the kitchen window leaning over his shoulder. Vivian leaving his front door at 4 a.m. Grainy, real, arranged to imply something romantic that hadn't happened. I hired a photographer last night, Crow said, voice silk with satisfaction. Just in case, it's already trending. By noon, every major outlet will pick it up. By tomorrow, front page of the Wall Street Journal. This is a lie, Malik said. Nothing happened. We were working on evidence that sends you to prison. Does it matter? Crow spread his hands. The photos don't show you working. They show intimacy. They show exactly what they were designed to show. He turned to the board. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at the woman who claims to be a victim. But the truth is, she's been conducting an affair with an employee she brought into this boardroom to present fabricated evidence. Ask yourselves who the real criminal is. Graham, Douglas started weakly. Save it, Crow said. You've been played like everyone else. He stood, buttoned his jacket. I'll be leaving now. When FBI tries to arrest me, I'll go quietly. But when my lawyers get through with this company, there won't be anything left to merge. He looked at Vivian. Enjoy your scandal. He moved toward the door. Graham, Vivian said. He paused. The photographs were taken from outside my house, Vivian said. On a public street by a photographer you paid. Her voice was ice. A photographer who can be identified, questioned, subpoenaed, who will testify you paid him to take compromising photos of your CEO, photos designed to destroy my reputation and undermine a criminal case. That's witness tampering, Malik added, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to commit defamation. And the metadata on those photos will show exactly when they were taken and what device captured them, Malik continued. If the device traces to someone you paid, that's another charge. If he was instructed to misrepresent what he saw, that's fraud. Crow's smile faltered. You're bluffing, Crow snapped. Am I? Vivian stepped closer. I've spent 12 years building a company in an industry that wanted me to fail. I survived hostile takeovers, market crashes, and 1,000 small-minded men who thought they could push me aside. You think a tabloid story stops me? It will destroy your credibility, Crow said. It will destroy nothing, Vivian said, because in about 20 minutes I'm going to hold a press conference. I'll present every piece of evidence, financial records, security footage, offshore accounts, and the confession you just made in front of the board. She smiled. And then I'll explain the photographs were a last-ditch smear campaign by a desperate criminal trying to escape justice. Nobody will believe you, Crow spat. Everybody will, Vivian said, because it's true. Her voice dropped, low and dangerous. You had one chance for a shred of dignity. Instead, you threw a bomb and hoped it burned everything around you. She leaned in slightly. Congratulations, it's burning, but you're the one standing in the fire. The boardroom door opened. 2 men in dark suits stepped in. Neutral expressions, confident posture, the kind of people who preferred compliance but didn't require it. Mr. Graham Crow, the first said. Crow looked at the agents, looked at the board, looked at Vivian, calm as a queen who'd won a long war. I want my lawyer, Crow said. You'll have access to counsel at the federal building, the agent replied. Please come with us. Graham Crow, founding board member, respected elder statesman, architect of a $47 million fraud, let himself be led out. He didn't look back. He didn't resist. He walked with the same measured steps he'd walked in, like it was just another meeting. The door closed. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Douglas Chen cleared his throat. I want it on record. I had no knowledge of any of this. I was misled. It's on the record, Vivian said, voice tired now. Everything is on the record. I'll be voting in support of the merger, Douglas rushed on, and your continued leadership. How magnanimous, Vivian said. Rebecca Hale stood. I move. We take a 30-minute recess. Everyone needs time. Seconded. All in favor? Every hand rose. Board members filed out in stunned silence, leaving Malik and Vivian alone. The screen drifted to a screensaver, Slate Dynamics logo rotating like a planet. Vivian walked to the window. The rain had stopped. A break in the clouds let one beam of sunlight touch the distant waters of the Sound, turning gray to silver. It's not over, Vivian said. I know, Malik said. The tabloids, the questions, the whispers. Vivian pressed her palm to glass. Even after I explain, people will believe the worst. That stain never washes out completely. Malik stood beside her, seeing the same light. Can I tell you something? He asked. You're going to anyway, Vivian said. Last night, when you fixed Professor Bunn's ear, Malik said, Nia looked at you like you performed a miracle. He paused. She doesn't look at many people that way. She's careful. Vivian didn't speak. She asked this morning if you were coming back, Malik continued. Patricia was making breakfast, and Nia asked if the lady who fixed Professor Bunn would visit again. Vivian's eyes went bright. Not tears, but close. Press conferences in 20 minutes, she said. After that, Meridian team, legal, FBI. I won't be free until tonight. I understand, Malik said. Vivian inhaled. But if it wouldn't be inappropriate, I'd like to come by for dinner. Malik blinked. Dinner? Nothing fancy, Malik said, a laugh edged with exhaustion. Probably takeout. My cooking's terrible. Nia's still recovering. But she'd like to see you. He hesitated, then admitted softly, I think I would too. Vivian looked at him the way she had in the hospital, measuring, vulnerable, under control. Okay, she said. Dinner around 7. I'll try. Don't try, Malik said. Just come. Vivian almost smiled. I need to prepare for the press conference, she said. I know, Malik said. You should go. I should go home. Be with my daughter. I know that too, Vivian said. Then, quiet and heavy, Malik, thank you. For what? For not letting me drown, Vivian said. For everything. Malik looked at her, not the Ice Queen, not the storm, but a complicated, guarded, deeply human woman who'd walked into his life demanding compliance and ended up holding his child in a hallway. You would have done the same, Malik said. Maybe, Vivian said. I'd like to think so. Malik left her at the window and took the elevator down alone. Silence profound, like after an explosion when debris still settled. In the lobby, reporters were gathering. Questions shouted, cameras lifted. Malik didn't answer. He slipped through a side door into the garage and climbed into the waiting town car. Home, he told the driver. The car slid into Seattle morning. Gray broke into patches of blue. Streets were quiet. Sunday, most people still in bed, unaware a man was being escorted to federal custody, and a woman was about to stand at a podium and tell the truth. Malik leaned his head against glass and closed his eyes. It wasn't over. Vivian was right. But in this moment, with morning light filtering through the car window and the weight of the last 24 hours beginning to lift, Malik allowed himself something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Not certainty, not triumph. Just quiet, stubborn hope that maybe things could be okay. The car turned onto his street. His house came into view. Sagging porch, broken gutters, dented mailbox. In morning light, it looked different. Less like a symbol of failure. More like a place where things could start going right. Patricia opened the door before he reached the porch. She's awake, she said. Asking about you. Malik walked in and found Nia at the kitchen table with cereal, and Professor Bunn perched in a chair like he belonged. Color good, eyes clear. She looked like a healthy 6-year-old who'd beaten fever and was ready to get back to being a kid. Daddy! She ran to him and wrapped arms around his legs. You're back. I'm back, Malik said, kneeling and holding her, breathing in shampoo and the warm, clean smell of a child on the mend. How do you feel? He asked. Better, Nia said. Patricia made oatmeal with blueberries. Then she looked up with direct seriousness. Is Vivian coming back? Yeah, Malik said. For dinner. Nia's face lit. Really? Really. Can we make her something? Nia insisted. Not takeout. Something real. Malik thought about his cooking skills, his kitchen state, his 3 hours of sleep, and the fact he'd just helped dismantle a $47 million fraud. We can try, he said. What should we make? Nia asked with grave importance. Spaghetti, she decided. Red sauce and garlic bread, and we can set the table nice with the candles from the drawer. The candles we use for power outages? They're still candles, Nia said. Malik laughed, real laughter, rusty, but there. Okay, spaghetti, garlic bread, candles. Then he looked at Patricia. But first, I need more coffee. I'll make a fresh pot, Patricia said. And I stocked your refrigerator this morning. You didn't have to, Malik said. Miss Slate asked me to, Patricia said, smiling like she knew things. She said you probably hadn't been to the grocery store in weeks. She wasn't wrong. Malik looked at Nia, arranging salt and pepper shakers like place cards, talking to Professor Bunn about where everyone would sit. This was what rebuilding looked like. Coffee, groceries, planning dinner, holding your daughter, hoping the person you invited would actually show up. Outside, the clouds kept breaking. The rain was over for now. Somewhere across the city, Vivian Slate was stepping up to a podium. Malik poured coffee and started a shopping list. The spaghetti was not going well. Malik stood at the stove stirring sauce that had gone from bubbling to suspiciously thick in 3 minutes. Pasta water boiled over, hissing down the pot. Garlic bread sat in the oven, and Malik couldn't remember if he'd set a timer or just stared at the buttons and hoped. "Daddy," Nia said serenely from a chair she'd dragged to the counter, "the water's doing the thing again." I see it," Malik said, grabbing the lid and releasing steam that fogged his glasses. "Can you hand me the wooden spoon?" "Which one?" "The one that's not covered in sauce." "They're both covered in sauce," Nia said. She was right. The kitchen looked like a crime scene. Red splatter, flour dust from an abandoned attempt at homemade garlic bread that became store-bought when Malik remembered he didn't know how to make bread. Pots everywhere. Professor Bunn had been relocated to the living room after a near miss with flying tomato. Patricia had left an hour earlier after gently suggesting Malik stick to recipes he'd made before. He ignored that advice. He'd tried to recreate his mother's sauce from memory despite not remembering whether oregano came before or after tomatoes. It came after, he was almost sure. "What time is Vivian coming?" Naya asked. 7, Malik said. "Maybe later. She has meetings." "What kind?" "The boring kind, lawyers, reporters." "Why does she have to meet lawyers?" Nia asked. "Because sometimes when you catch bad people doing bad things," Malik said carefully, "you have to explain it to other people who write it down." Nia considered. "Is the bad man going to jail?" Malik paused. He'd been careful. Nia was 6, and corporate fraud wasn't bedtime material, but she was perceptive. "Probably," Malik said. "Yeah, probably." "Good," Naya said with the firm moral clarity of childhood. "Bad people should go to jail. That's what happens in stories." "Does it always happen?" Nia asked. Malik thought of cases that fell through, justice that came late or not at all. Crow's lawyers would fight. Trials took years. Outcomes were never guaranteed. "Not always," Malik said, "but we try." The doorbell rang. Nia launched off her chair and sprinted to the front door before Malik could even turn off the stove. He heard her fling it open. "You came." "I told you I would," Vivian's voice carried in. Something in Malik unclenched. She actually came. Malik wiped his hands on a dish towel beyond saving and walked to the door. Vivian stood on the porch looking nothing like the woman from yesterday. No corporate armor, no designer coat, no heels. She wore jeans and a simple gray sweater, hair loose, face bare of the makeup that turned her features sharp. She looked tired. She looked human. She held a stuffed rabbit, gray with floppy ears and a bow tie, soft, well-made. "I saw this near my apartment," Vivian said, offering it to Nia. "It reminded me of Professor Bunn." Nia took it like a sacred object, inspecting with her critical seriousness. "He's very handsome," Nia pronounced. "I thought so too," Vivian said. "What's his name?" Nia examined the rabbit's ears, paws, bow tie, then looked up with complete certainty. "Professor Bunn, Jr., she said. "Professor Bunn's son. He came to visit." Vivian blinked. "That makes perfect sense." "Come in!" Nia grabbed Vivian's hand and pulled her inside. "Daddy's making spaghetti, but it's going wrong." "It's not going wrong," Malik called. "It's going creatively." Vivian looked toward the kitchen. Something flickered in her eyes. Amusement, maybe. "You have sauce on your glasses," she said. "I'm aware." "And in your hair." "Also aware." Vivian tilted her head. "Would you like help?" "That depends," Malik said. "Can you cook?" "I can follow directions," Vivian said, already rolling up sleeves. "Show me what needs to be done." What needed to be done was everything. Vivian took over the sauce like it was a mission. Taste, adjust, a splash of wine Malik didn't know he had. She rescued garlic bread seconds before it crossed from golden to burnt. She drained pasta, tossed it with olive oil, and somehow made the chaos look like a process. Malik watched and felt something he couldn't name. Not just attraction, but recognition, like watching someone solve a puzzle he'd been staring at too long. "You're good at this," Malik said. "I'm good at most things," Vivian said, glancing at him. "It's exhausting being expected to be." She stirred slowly. "When I was young, I decided if I was perfect at everything, no one could hurt me. No mistakes, no weakness, no needing help, untouchable." A beat. It took me a long time to realize untouchable also means unreachable. "What changed?" Malik asked. Vivian was quiet. "I met someone who needed help once a long time ago, And I didn't help them. I was too busy being perfect to notice they were drowning. She set the spoon down. When they were gone, I realized perfection didn't protect me from anything. It just made me alone. Malik didn't ask who, not in the kitchen with Nia setting the table in the next room. The sauce is done, Vivian said, shifting lighter. Where are your serving bowls? I don't think I have serving bowls, Malik admitted. Of course you don't, Vivian said, opening a cabinet. This pot will do. Dinner happened at their kitchen table. Nia decorated with emergency candles and a centerpiece of crayons in a glass jar. Professor Bunn sat in a chair. Professor Bunn Jr. sat in another. Malik, Vivian, and Naya filled the remaining 3 seats, passing garlic bread, twirling spaghetti, talking about everything and nothing. Nia told Vivian about school. Mrs. Patterson, who said she was intense, best friend Sophia, guinea pig named Mr. Whiskers. Vivian listened, real listening, asking follow-up questions, remembering details. She told Nia about her seamstress grandmother, the space princess costume, the telescope she used to learn constellations. I wanted to be an astronaut, Vivian said. When I was your age, I thought if I got far enough away from Earth, I could see everything clearly. Did you become an astronaut? Naya asked. No, Vivian said. I became a CEO. What's a CEO? Someone who tells other people what to do. Nia frowned. That sounds boring. It often is, Vivian admitted. Astronaut would be better. After dinner, Nia insisted on showing Vivian her room, the glow stars, crayon art, rock collection. Vivian examined each rock like it mattered, listening as Naya explained which ones were special. Malik stood in the doorway watching and felt his understanding of family shift. Bedtime, Malik said eventually. 5 more minutes? I 2 1/2, Naya bargained. She used 2 1/2 minutes to explain the plot of Harry Potter to Vivian, who apparently hadn't read it. Vivian took notes on her phone like she was being briefed for an acquisition. You have to read all of them, Nia instructed. They get better. I will read all of them, Vivian promised. Promise, Naya demanded, holding out her pinky. Vivian looked at the small finger. Something flashed across her face, an emotion Malik couldn't quite catch. Then she linked pinkies. Pinky promise, Vivian said. Nia smiled, the biggest smile Malik had seen from her in months. Malik tucked Nia in while Vivian waited in the living room. Blankets, rabbits on either side, kiss on forehead. Daddy, Nia asked as Malik reached for the light switch. Yeah, baby? I like her. I know you do. Do you like her? The question was simple. The answer wasn't. Malik decided Nia deserved honesty. Yeah, he said. I like her. Good, Nia said, eyes closing. She should come back tomorrow. We'll see, Malik said. She should come back every day. We'll see, baby. She's not scary when you know her. No, Malik said softly. She's not. He turned off the light and left the door cracked and walked back to the living room. Vivian stood at the window looking out at the street where yesterday a photographer had lurked in rain. Is she asleep? Vivian asked. Getting there, Malik said. She's remarkable, Vivian said, voice soft. You've done something right. Whatever you think you failed at, she's a remarkable child. She's easy to love, Malik said. Easy to love and hard to keep up with, Vivian said. The best ones usually are. They stood in candlelight and quiet. The press conference went well, Vivian said. I was wondering, Malik admitted. They asked about the photos, Vivian said. I explained we were working to recover evidence of fraud, that Mr. Crow hired a photographer to discredit me. Some believed, some didn't. But when federal agents escort someone out of a building, it's hard to argue fabrication. And the merger? Malik asked. Still on track, Vivian said. Meridian was briefed. They're satisfied fraud was contained, systems secure, leadership stable. A ghost of a smile. They were impressed by how quickly we resolved it. Another word is improvised, Malik said. It worked, Vivian said. Crow is in federal custody, arraigned tomorrow. Offshore accounts and Costa Rica property make him a flight risk, so he'll probably be held until trial. The $47 million is being traced, frozen where possible. She shrugged. We won't get all back, but enough. Enough for what? Malik asked. Enough to move forward, Vivian said. Close the merger, pay people, reassure investors, keep company alive. She met Malik's eyes. That's all any of us can do, isn't it? Get enough to move forward. Malik looked at the last 2 days. Fever, hospital, bomb, boardroom, spaghetti. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "You can ask," Vivian said. "I might not answer." "At the hospital," Malik said carefully. "You said you lost someone you didn't help when they were drowning." Vivian stayed quiet. "Who were they?" Malik asked. The candles flickered. Rain started again outside, softer now. Vivian stared at rain running down glass. "His name was Daniel," she said finally. "He was my husband." Malik didn't rush her. "We met in business school," Vivian said. "He was brilliant, the kind that made everyone else feel slow. We got married young, built careers, thought we had it figured out." She pressed her palm to glass. "Daniel struggled with depression. He hid it well. Most people do." She swallowed. "He told me once he felt invisible, like no matter what he did, he was disappearing. I gave him advice instead of presence, solutions instead of understanding." "What happened?" Malik asked softly. Vivian's voice stayed steady, but something raw lived under it. "He took a business trip to San Francisco. I was supposed to go with him. I chose a board meeting instead." She breathed in. "On the second night, he called me. I saw his name and sent it to voicemail. I didn't listen until later." She looked at Malik. "By the time I did, he was gone." Silence settled. Heavy, unfixable. Malik didn't offer platitudes. He didn't try to reshape her grief into something easier. He just let it exist. "That's why you caught Nia," Malik said quietly, "when she fell." "That's why I catch everyone," Vivian said. "I can't bring Daniel back. I can't undo the meeting or the call I didn't answer. But I can be present now. I can notice when someone is falling." "It doesn't fix anything," Vivian said. "It doesn't make me forgive myself. But it's something." "It's more than something," Malik said. "It's not enough," Vivian murmured. "Maybe it doesn't have to be enough," Malik said. "Maybe it just has to be what you can do." Vivian looked at him, really looked. The Ice Queen was gone. What remained was a woman who had loved someone, lost them, and was still finding her way back. "You're kind," Vivian said. "I didn't expect that. When I showed up yesterday threatening lawsuits, I expected you to be defensive, hostile, vengeful." She almost smiled. "You were just kind." "I was exhausted," Malik said. "Exhaustion doesn't make people kind," Vivian said. "It usually does the opposite. My mother used to say you can tell who someone is by how they act when they're tired." Malik shrugged. "I guess I don't have energy to be mean." "That's not weakness," Vivian said. They stood in candlelight and rain, and something shifted. Subtle, not dramatic, but real. "I should go," Vivian said. "Should you?" Malik asked. "It's late. You need sleep. Your daughter might wake." "She sleeps through the night, especially recovering," Malik said. "I have meetings tomorrow," Vivian said. You have meetings every day." Vivian's eyes held his. "Nolan," she started, then corrected herself immediately, like the wrong name had slipped from some parallel story. She shook her head once. "Malik." "Yeah?" Malik said. "Stay," Vivian said, and the word hung. Malik opened his mouth. "I don't mean," he began. "I know what I mean," Vivian said. She stepped closer, not rushing, not hesitating, moving with the same decisive clarity she brought to everything. And then she stopped, close enough that Malik could smell her perfume and see the tiredness around her eyes. "I haven't done this in a long time," Vivian said. "Done what?" Malik asked. "Let someone see me," Vivian said. "The real me, not the CEO, not the Ice Queen." She gave a quiet, surprised laugh. Warm, real, transforming her face younger. "You're either very brave," Vivian said, "or very foolish." "Probably both," Malik admitted. Vivian's hand rose and touched Malik's face gently, like she was making sure he was real. "I'm not easy to be with," Vivian said. "I work too much. I have trouble expressing emotion. People say I have the warmth of a corporate spreadsheet." Malik exhaled a half laugh. "People say I have the social skills of a server rack." Vivian's mouth curved. "We're quite the pair." "We are," Malik said. Vivian kissed him, soft at first, careful, then deeper into something that had been building since she caught Nia in the hallway, since she handed over her key, since she stitched a rabbit in a kitchen full of cold coffee and code. When they pulled apart, the candles had burned lower. "Stay," Malik said, voice quiet. This time Vivian didn't argue. 6 months later, the house was different. Not dramatically, but noticeably. The porch still sagged a little. The gutters still needed attention, but the mailbox was fixed. The front yard had real grass now, green and intentional. The windows were clean, letting pale Seattle sunlight in on rare days it showed up. Inside, changes were obvious. The dining room was still Malik's workspace, but organized now, monitors aligned, cables managed, mail sorted instead of towering. The kitchen had appliances that worked consistently, including a coffee maker that didn't require physical violence. And there were photographs on the refrigerator. That was the biggest change. For years, the fridge had been blank, a white expanse of ignored potential. Now it was covered. Nia's artwork, a photo from her 6th birthday party, space, princess theme, requiring extensive costume construction. A snapshot from the company picnic where Malik had been officially introduced as Slate Dynamics' new head of security architecture, a position with reasonable hours, boundaries, and no expectation he sacrifice family for uptime. And in the center, held by a rocket ship magnet, was a crayon drawing. 3 stick figures under one word. The tallest had long dark hair, the middle had shorter hair and glasses. The smallest held a rabbit. Above them, in careful green crayon, family. Malik stood at the stove on a Saturday making pancakes, actual pancakes from an actual recipe, while Nia did homework and Vivian read news on her tablet. It was ordinary, domestic. Everything Malik had been afraid he'd never have again. "Dad," Nia said without looking up, "is 11 plus 17, 28. "Yep, and 28 plus 12, 40. "I knew that," Nia said. "I was checking." "Sure you were," Malik said. Vivian smiled behind her tablet. She'd gotten better at smiling in 6 months. Not constant warmth, not a dramatic transformation, but small moments that slipped through more often. The Ice Queen hadn't melted. She'd just learned armor wasn't always required. "The board approved the restructuring proposal," Vivian said, setting down the tablet. "Full integration with Meridian security infrastructure." "Your team will have a lot of work," Malik said. "My team is ready," Malik replied. "Your team is 4 people and a lot of ambition," Vivian said. "That's how all the best teams start," Malik said. "You've been spending too much time with Rebecca," Vivian said. "Rebecca is wise," Malik said. "Rebecca is optimistic to the point of delusion," Vivian countered. "Different." Malik flipped a pancake onto Nia's plate. Nia inspected it critically, accepted it, drowned it in syrup. "Graham Crow's trial date was set," Vivian added more quietly. "February 14th, Valentine's Day." "That's fitting," Malik said. "The prosecution is confident," Vivian said. "Financial records, footage, confession, and the photography conspiracy. They're building a case that will be difficult to defend." "Will you testify?" Malik asked. "Probably," Vivian said. "You too." "I figured." "How do you feel?" Malik asked. Vivian considered questions now instead of deflecting. Therapy had done that, 3 months in, after Malik suggested gently. She'd resisted at first, then went once, came home quieter, then went again and again. Malik didn't pry. He just noticed she came back softer, more present. "It'll be hard," Vivian said finally, seeing him again, remembering. "But it's necessary. He needs consequences. I need to see it happen." "Will you tell them everything?" Malik asked. "Douglas Chen already agreed to testify," Vivian said. "Apparently, conscience caught up." Vivian paused. "Or his lawyers explained what accessory after the fact means." Nia looked up. "What's a smear campaign?" "It's when someone tells lies about you so people think you're bad," Malik said. "That's mean," Nia declared. "It is mean," Vivian agreed. "Did someone do that to Vivian?" Nia asked. "They tried," Malik said, "but Vivian is very good at showing people the truth." Nia nodded, satisfied. "Vivian is good at most things." "Yes," Malik said, and Vivian smiled wider, reaching across to ruffle Nia's hair. Easy now, natural. Nia leaned into it like she expected love. "What do we have planned today?" Vivian asked. "Farmer's market," Nia said instantly. "You promised." "I did promise," Vivian said. "And then aquarium," Nia added. "You promised that too." "I seem to have made a lot of promises," Vivian said. You make good promises," Nia said. After breakfast, they cleaned together, Malik washing, Nia drying unbreakable items, Vivian organizing cabinets in a system Malik still didn't fully understand. As Malik handed a plate, their fingers brushed. Vivian held his gaze a moment. "Thank you," Vivian said quietly. "For what?" Malik asked. For that night you let me in, Vivian said. I threatened to sue you. You did, Malik said. And you let me in anyway. I was tired, Malik said. You were kind, Vivian said. You're still kind. You're getting better at saying nice things, Malik teased. I'm practicing, Vivian said. Malik kissed her forehead, small gesture, a language they'd built. I see you. I'm glad you're here. Nia burst in wearing her favorite purple jacket and rain boots, unnecessary given rare sunshine. Let's go, she commanded. The donuts wait for no one. They went. The farmer's market was crowded. Seattle decided to stop raining. Vivian wore sunglasses, kept a lower profile. After press coverage, she was recognizable. Most people were sympathetic, but attention was attention. Today, Vivian held Nia's hand through stalls, strawberries, flowers, until the donut booth, where Nia debated maple bacon versus chocolate sprinkle like she was choosing a life partner. Get both, Vivian suggested. Nia's eyes went wide. Both? It's Saturday, Vivian said. Nia looked at Malik. Dad, she said both. I heard, Malik said. Is that allowed? It's her money, Vivian said. Then yes, Malik said. Both, Nia said decisively. They ate on a bench near the waterfront, watching ferries cross the sound. Nia alternated bites between donuts. Malik and Vivian shared coffee and quiet. I've been thinking, Vivian said. About what? Malik asked carefully. About the house, Vivian said. Malik went still. What about it? It's too small for 3 people and 2 stuffed rabbits, Vivian said, looking at water, not Malik. And the commute from Ballard takes time that could be spent with Nia. There are houses in Capitol Hill, closer to school, closer to my office, with more space and better foundations and porches that don't require structural prayers. You want to move? Malik asked. I want to move together, Vivian said. Then she looked at him. If that's something you want. Malik thought about the sagging porch, the kitchen where they cracked a $47 million fraud over cold coffee and desperation, the house where he'd nearly lost himself, but also the house where he found his way back, where Vivian stitched Professor Bunn, where Nia drew stick figures, where family became real. Can we bring the stick figure drawing? Malik asked. Obviously, Vivian said. And the candles from the drawer, Malik added. The emergency candles? Vivian asked. They're romantic now, Malik said. Vivian laughed, still one of Malik's favorite sounds. Yes, Vivian said, we can bring the candles. Malik exhaled. Okay, let's move together. Nia appeared in front of them, face smeared with frosting and sprinkles, Professor Bunn Jr. tucked under one arm. Move where? She asked. To a new house, Malik said, bigger, with a yard. A yard? Nia's eyes went huge. Can we get a dog? Let's start with the house, Malik said. Eventually, we'll see. That means yes, Nia said confidently, then looked at Vivian. When Dad says we'll see, it means yes. Vivian's mouth tilted. I figured out the code. What's transparent? Nia asked. Easy to read, Vivian said. Like a book. Dad is like a book, Nia said sagely. A good book with a happy ending. Vivian looked at Malik. Malik looked back. And on a bench by the water, with Seattle skyline behind them, their daughter in front, with frosting on her face and a stuffed rabbit under her arm, the word happy felt not just possible. Present, not the end of a story. The middle, the long, complicated, ordinary middle, where people learned to love each other, forgot garbage, argued about dishes, woke up choosing each other again. Come on, Nia said, grabbing both their hands. Aquarium time. She pulled them up and led them toward whatever came next with the confidence of a child who'd learned the people who loved her would follow. And they did. They followed her through the market, into the car, across the city to the aquarium, where she pressed her face against glass and watched jellyfish pulse in blue light, and declared she might be a marine biologist unless she became an astronaut, unless she became a CEO like Vivian, but one who also had a dog. They followed her through the gift shop where she picked a stuffed octopus to add to the rabbit family. They followed her home to an imperfect but warm house, soon to be replaced by another house that would be different but still theirs. Late that night, after Nia slept with stuffed animals arranged like a court, Malik and Vivian stood in the kitchen looking at the crayon drawing on the refrigerator. 3 figures, 1 word. They didn't speak for a long time. They didn't need to. Family said it all. 3 people who found each other in a crisis and chose to stay when the crisis ended. Not because of blood or obligation or tradition, because of choice, because of presence. Because sometimes the people you're supposed to be with show up on your doorstep in a rainstorm, threatening to destroy you and then catch your daughter when she falls and then stay for dinner and then stay for everything else. And you let them, and it works. And the story, which could have ended so many different ways, ended like this. With a quiet house in Seattle, 3 figures on a refrigerator, rain starting up again outside, and 2 people in a kitchen already imagining the kitchen they'd stand in next.